Okay, this is our daily study of Mishnah, the Mishnah and Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, in honor of those who have yahrzeit for tonight. We are up to chapter 1, Mishnah number 12, and as always, a link to the text of the Mishnah will be in the first comment below. So the yahrzeit for tonight, the 5th of Iyar, are Ben Bittner, Alex Kraft, Michael Schub, Richard Von Endy, Mary Wachtel, and Isidore Zeff. May their memory be for a blessing. Tonight is also the 5th of Iyar is Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israeli Independence Day. Israel is 72 years old, and we wish the state of Israel a happy birthday. Sadly, they cannot celebrate out in public, just like pretty much every other country on lockdown. But my parents sent me a video. My parents who live in Israel now, my brother who lives there, sent me video of music playing in the street, and they're trying to be as festive as possible. Okay, so Mishnah 12 says, Hillel v'Shammai kiblu mehem. Hillel and Shammai received the tradition from their predecessors. And these are probably the two most famous rabbis in history, Hillel and Shammai. And they co-led the Jewish people. Historically, we're in the time of King Herod, so right towards the end of the BCE years, before the Common Era, about 100 years before the temple was destroyed and 70 of the Common Era. So we're sort of at that cusp between the BCE and the CE. Okay, now Hillel and Shammai, the rabbis say elsewhere, the highest honor you could have is being just known by your first name, just Hillel. Kind of like lahavdil, to make a distinction, but Elvis or Madonna, right? Someone who's just known, if you say Hillel, you know who you're talking about. There's only one Hillel. So, they say that rabbis today, if they want to have a title of honor, they'll refer to them as Harav, Hagaon, the rabbi, the great genius, the sage, the Hakadosh, the holy. But the greatest honor you could have is just Hillel, your name, being known by your first name, and everyone knows who you are. Wow, that means that actually means you're a big deal. And it also speaks to humility that you don't need all the titles. So just an important lesson about their names. Hillel is famous. We'll get to Shammai in the next Mishnah, but Hillel is famous for coming up with some of the most famous Jewish lessons, such as the Golden Rule. He told someone who wanted to convert to Judaism, the guy said, explain to me Judaism while standing on one foot, which means, if you could stand on one foot, you only have a few seconds before you lose your balance. So if you had to sum up Judaism in just a nutshell, what would it be? And Hillel said, what is hateful to you, do not do unto others. Act to others as you would want done to yourself. And that, of course, is the Golden Rule. And he said, that's the Torah in a nutshell, and the rest is commentary now. Now go and learn. Okay. So we see that Hillel is very much into love and peace, and there's the college organization on college campuses is called Hillel after him, but certain basic Jewish values. So Hillel says, Hillel v'Shammai kiblu mehem. Hillel omer, havi mitalmidov shel Aaron, oev shalom, v'rodev shalom, oev esabrios, u'mekarvan laTorah. Hillel says, be among the disciples of Aaron, loving peace and pursuing peace, loving people and bringing them closer to the Torah. So you might recognize the names of a few shuls in here. Be like the disciples of Aaron. Aaron was the first high priest, the older brother of Moses. He was the Kohen Gadol. But why was he worthy of that role? Because he was a man of peace. He was Ohev Shalom. There's a shul here in Kansas City called Ohev Shalom. And it derives from this Mishnah that Aaron was called a lover of peace. It's a great name for a shul, lover of peace. There are also shuls not here in Kansas City, but back in New York, there's another common name for a shul is Rodev Shalom, to chase peace, to pursue peace. So you just see that some of the names of shuls where they derive from is always fascinating to find the source. But okay, Aaron was a lover of peace and a pursuer of peace. Ohev esabrios u'mekarvan laTorah. He loved all people and he loved bringing them closer to the Torah. So okay, so the commentary, the Kahati quotes the Avot Rabbi Nassan, which fleshes out Pirkei Avot a little more and says, how was it that Aaron was a lover of peace? Well, in his dealings with other people, he always dealt peacefully, but pursuing peace speaks to being proactive. So what would he do? He'd see two guys who are in an argument, and let's call them Reuven and Shimon, Reuben and Simon. And he would go to Reuven and he'd sit down with him and he'd say, Shimon told me that he's really torn up about the fight you're having. He really wants to make up with you. He feels terrible about it. And then he'd go sit down with Shimon and say the same thing. He'd actively try to pursue peace between them. What's funny is the Kahati doesn't quote whether or not Aaron was sort of telling a white lie, whether he really heard this from Reuben and Simon, or whether he's just inferring it. And what's beautiful about that, there's another lesson in there, right? You're allowed to sort of fudge the peace is so important it overrides truth. You can fudge the truth a little bit to make peace. So the classic example is somebody asks you, "Do I look good in this outfit?" You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't have to tell the truth. You could say, "Yeah, you look great." You're allowed to tell white lies to pursue peace. And apparently, Aaron would do that. He'd sit and say, "This guy, he really feels terrible that you're fighting." And what's great about that too is it probably isn't a lie because Aaron had great psychological insight. When two people are fighting, my experience is they usually do feel bad about it. They're just waiting for the other person to make the first move, right? So he's probably just inferring what's really happening. He feels bad about it. He wants to make up. I think most good, normal people are forgiving in that sense, but they need a little bit of nudge to get to that place, and that's the brilliance of Aaron's strategy. Okay, and he also loved all people, bringing them closer to the Torah. So you could see these all as different clauses. I always point out the different clauses in the Mishnahs could be separate things, but there's a whole school of commentary to see them as all related. He brought people closer to Torah. You could say, how did he achieve that? Specifically through the fact that he was a lover of peace and a chaser of peace. That is what brings people close to Torah. And that's a very important lesson, right? These Mishnahs that I teach and the sermons that I give, rabbis always say at our rabbi conventions that most people are not really drawn close to community by the intellectual content of Torah as much. I hate to say, of course, that's an important part of it, but it's the interpersonal relationships that they find in shul. And of course, this resonates now that we're not physically in shul together. We're still able to connect in this virtual way. But how did Aaron bring people closer to the life of Torah? Through the fact that he was a lover of peace, that he loved all people, right? That positive interpersonal relationships is what gives people a positive connection to the community and to the life of Torah, and that's an important lesson for all of us. Okay, so with that, we will say the memorial prayer. Tonight being Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israeli Independence Day, a festive day, we do not say the standard memorial prayer, which is sad and somber on a festive day. Instead, we say the substitute one. Elo aslichos, Chanu v'rachu merech apayim rav chesed. Amtzei kapar special bakravas yashom nucha nechona tachas kanfei yashkina. V'malos kedoshim etahorim kizor harakia masirimis nishmos kolas geros shel halayla shel chuli olamam. Anabal harachmim zachor lahem latova kol zchi yoseim etzik yoseim ba'artzos achayim. Upsach lahem shari tzedek v'ora shari chemla v'chanina. V'seser kenefecha tastireim lo'olamim. V'tzor b'tzor achayim es nishmasam. Adonai hu nachlasam yanuchu b'shalom mishkavam v'nomar amen. Okay, and in English we could say the prayer following the study of Mishnah. Please, O Hashem, full of mercy, for in your hand is the soul of all the living and the spirit of every human being. May you find favor in our Torah study and prayer for the souls, excuse me, sorry about that, for the souls of Ben Bittner, Alex Kraft, Michael Shub, Richard Von Endy, Mary Wachtel, and Isidore Zeff, in whose memory we have studied and prayed. Continue to accept them with love and affection and send them your holy and pure angels to lead to settle under the tree of life near the souls of the righteous and devout men and women, to enjoy the radiance of your presence, to satiate them from your good that is concealed for the righteous. May their body repose in the grave with proper contentment, pleasure, gladness, and peace, as it is written. Let him enter in peace, let them rest on their beds, everyone who has lived in his proper way. As it is written, let the devout exult in glory, let them sing joyously upon their beds. As it is written, if you lay down, you will not fear. When you lay down, your sleep will be sweet. Amen. And finally, today is also Israeli Independence Day. Israel has the most brilliant setup. Today, as I'm filming this, is Israeli Memorial Day. What a brilliant setup to have Memorial Day for the fallen soldiers lead into Independence Day, to remind yourself why you have independence, because of the sacrifice of the soldiers. It's also a day to memorialize victims of terror. So I'll say the Yizkor, paragraph of Yizkor, for fallen members of the IDF. Yizkor Elohim es nishmos chayalei tzva haganah Yisrael shemasar nafshem al kedushas Hashem ha'am v'haaretz v'naflu mos giborim b'tafkidei shichror haganah v'bitachon. Min hasharim kalu me'arios kaveru b'heichal tzam le'ezras ha'am v'hirvu b'damam ha'tahores rigvei admas kadshenu. Zecher akedasam u'masek gvurasam le'yasufu me'itanu lo'olamim. Tieno nishmoseim tzruros b'tzorachayim im nishmos Avram Yitzchak v'Yakov im nishmos shar gibore Yisrael kedoshav shebegan Eden. Amen. In English, may God remember the souls of the fighters of the Israel Defense Force who gave their lives for the sanctification of the name, the people, and the land. who died a heroic death in missions of liberation, defense, and security. They were quicker than eagles and stronger than lions as they volunteered to assist the people, and with their pure blood soaked the clods of our holy earth. The memory of their self-sacrifice and heroic deeds will never perish from us. May their souls be bound in the bond of life with the souls of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and with the souls of other Jewish heroes and martyrs in the Garden of Eden. And we respond, Amen. And so I wish everyone a joyous Israeli Independence Day tonight.